Thanks, Pranita, for reminding me. So apart from the high-end instrumentation facility, they also have a tissue culture facility and access to ethical support, then animal house, biobanking facility, and of course, clinical trial support, all of which is very critical for innovators in the biotech domain. Again, please visit their website for more information and reach out to them for incubation support should you need it. Next, we have ICRISAT. We have Jonathan representing them here today. Again, one of the leading agribusiness incubators in the country. They're very focused on translating good ideas into successful ventures. They focus on transgenic plants, the molecular biology, and tissue culture, seed technology, food tech, biofertilizers, biopesticides, and other aspects in the agri-biotech domain. They aim to help you through developing your prototype or your proof of concept, establishing your proof of concept, and of course, validation cycles for enhanced adoption. They provide you with not only infrastructural support, but also funding support and consultancy. They can open up their business and other mentors to you. Besides that, they can also provide you access to their legal and other services. So if you are an innovator in the Agritech domain, please reach out to them. Their experience in this field will help you take your solution faster to the market. We also have with us NAVIC, which is with their focus areas of animal husbandry and veterinary sciences. Again, services, again, very important for this particular grant. If you're an innovator in agriculture and allied areas, this incubator can help you. They are they're very extensively supported by different programs, and they have their own focus programs to support agri startups. They have, of course, they also provide virtual training, lots of webinars. So they bring their incubators up to speed with the requirements of this domain. And of course, this is an ICAR initiative that they're a part of. And so as an agri incubator, we request you to please approach them and find out more about them from their website. Next, we have NIPER Guwahati, and Dr. Sonali Roy is representing NIPER today, and she can answer any questions that you might have. Again, healthcare and bioinnovation is one of their thrust areas. They cater to innovators, large-scale innovators in the eastern sector. So they have big funded incubators from West Bengal, Assam, and many of the northeastern states. And so they're supporting the big ecosystem there extensively. They have, of course, they provide multidisciplinary mentorship. They have a multi-category incubation schemes, and you can find out more about their incubation support from their website. They provide not only infrastructural support, but also state-of-the-art instrumentation facility, and of course, guidance in terms of commercialization, financial guidance, and any other kind of mentorship, including technical and legal. And of course, with each of these incubators, what you get access to is their network. Coming back to Maharashtra, again, this is the incubator from the Indian Institute of Chemical Technology. They're an upcoming incubator, and they're already having some very good technology, deep tech technologies that they're already supporting. ICT has a rich history of coming up with deep tech solutions that service various domains. And some of the examples of the products that they're launching are the pregnancy, PregVidet and VacSaver that have just come out from incubators of ICT NICE. Now, coming to the focus of this session, again, we're highlighting here for you BIRAC's Biotechnology Ignition Grant, which is one of the flagship programs of BIRAC, and a very successful initiative on behalf of BIRAC to support early stage innovators. Now, the whole purpose of this grant is to bring early stage innovators to take their ideas to proof of concept. And they are providing you with about 50 lakhs of funds, and the tenure of this grant is 18 months. So you're expected within that 18 months to take your idea that has a commercial potential as close to the market as possible. Now, their target is basically entrepreneurs from academia and elsewhere, and also young startups. Now, please remember that this is not an exploratory research grant. It has, if only if your solution has a very clear commercialization potential, should you apply for this grant. Again, anybody is free to apply for this grant, provided that they have a completed undergraduate degree. By any metric of evaluation, this has been a very successful grant. More than 50 products have been launched in the market, and more than 200 IPs have been generated through startups through this grant funds. And of course, it has helped more than 125 startups to find their footing in the market. You can apply in two categories. First, if you do not have any, if you're not part of an incorporated company, you can apply as an individual. However, if you have a company and you meet the eligibility criteria, as a principal investigator, you can apply on behalf of a company as well. Now, as a PI in both categories, you will require a passport as a proof of nationality. If you do not have a passport, or your passport has expired, you will have to provide us with some proof that you're applying for a passport, and provide an Aadhaar card as a placeholder in the meanwhile. Now, depending on which category you're applying, there are certain eligibility criteria that you have to meet and certain documentation that you have to provide. I already mentioned that the minimal education qualification for the PIs of both categories has to be a completed undergraduate degree. Now, if you're an individual applicant, make sure that you're not already a stakeholder in another biotech company, because in that case, you will not be eligible as an individual applicant. Single member teams are normally not favorably looked upon, so try to build a team with other members with complementary skill sets. Now, you will require infrastructural support for you to execute your grant, and so you should have approached an incubator of your choice and received a letter of intent from them. Now, what this letter states is that if you are a successful grantee, you will be able to use that incubator's support in executing your project. Now, if you are in academia, for instance, you are a PhD student, a postdoc, or a faculty member, for you to apply, you will have to provide BIRAC with a no objection certificate. Now, this will, of course, cover different clauses. For instance, the no objection certificate from your host institute will stipulate that you're allowed to accept the grant money into a no-lien account for you or your startup. Also, that you will be allowed to devote some amount of time to the success of this project. We understand that you cannot neglect your academic duties when you accept this grant. This is one of those grants that allow hiring of manpower, and so you can hire some capable team members who can execute the project under your supervision. Also, when you are part of an academic institute, some of the IP that you generate, whether it be part of this project or any other research that you do, often automatically belongs to the host institute. If that is the case, and in most cases it is, there should be a clear IP policy from the institute that states that in the near future, they will allow you to license back that technology to your startup for further for commercialization and further R&D development. Now, if you're privately employed, you will, once you get the grant, or even before, at the time of application, you'll have to provide a declaration that if you successfully land the grant, then you will quit your current employment and devote your time full time in executing the grant. Now, coming to applying on behalf of a company, the age of the company is extremely important, since this is an early stage grant. From the date of incorporation to the start of the call in which you're interested in applying, the age of your company should be less than 5 years. Now, this is very critical, a very critical eligibility factor. Again, if you are holding shares in another biotech company that is more than 5 years old, that might affect your eligibility as well. However, if you are shareholding in a non-biotech company and it is more than 5 years old, you can still apply. Now, you will have to provide, of course, the PI who is applying on behalf of the company should hold a certain amount of shares in the company. The minimal amount is not stipulated by BIRAC. Now, this clause has been put in place so that there is the PI is more invested in the success of the project and will not quit as an employee in the middle of the execution of the project. Now, some extra documentation as a company you will have to provide if you're applying in this category. This will involve your incorporation your registration certificate, your memorandums and articles of association, your certified shareholding pattern. If you are a revenue generating company, then some annual statements and such. Now, this grant covers almost all areas of biotech. Some of the major umbrella themes are, of course, medtech, under which falls medical devices, diagnostics, biopharma, therapeutics, drugs. And here, again, under devices, you have different categories of devices. They could be assisted devices. They could be improvement on existing technology. In diagnostics, it could be any kind of solution that improves the diagnostic process for doctors and aids in that process. And of course, in drugs, it could be any kind of therapeutic that you're coming up to meet a certain disease category. Again, under Agritech, you have allied areas such as secondary agriculture, veterinary science, and so on. And so here you also have food tech, and others, aquaculture, apiculture, and other topics as well. In industrial biotech, apart from the usual processes, there are other clean energy, sanitation, and waste management solutions that also fall under this purview. Just remember, no matter what your solution, there should be a biotech component to it. So there often we get solutions where there is no biology component. Please make sure that your solution has that. If you have a software solution, for instance, you're coming up with an AI/ML based or IoT based solution that services any of these sectors, then you're eligible to apply as well. This is a very competitive grant with several stages of evaluation. The first stage is basically checking for your eligibility for the grant, your scheme fit. If you have all the supporting documents, you're also required to upload a declaration that ensures that no part of your written application is plagiarized. And also there should be sufficient content for your application to be sufficiently evaluated in the subsequent steps. Now, once you've applied online and you have been found to be eligible, all eligible proposals are then categorized under 5 broad themes. These are medical devices, drugs, diagnostics, agriculture and allied areas, and industrial biotech. Now, once this categorization is complete, each proposal is assigned for online review to 5 or more reviewers. Now, these reviewers will not only be technical experts or domain experts, but will also, some of them will be industry experts, investors, IP experts, and so on, so that the proposal gets looked at from varied angles to gauge its true commercialization potential. Now, you're given a score, and the geometric mean of all of the reviewers is taken, and you're given a final score. And if this final score meets the criteria that's set or the cutoff that's set for your particular theme, then you proceed on to the next step. This is the 3rd step of your evaluation. This is a presentation before the technical expert panel. It's the only stage where you get to make a face-to-face presentation and defend your proposal in front of a technical expert panel, which is mostly composed of 8 members. Again, a varied group of people who will look at your proposal from different angles. Now, in the current scenario, these meetings are virtual. And so initially there is an 8-minute recording followed by a 12-minute Q&A session with the experts. Again, you will be scored under different BIRAC approved criteria, and the score that you receive again has to meet a certain cutoff for your theme for you to move into the final round of evaluation, which is deliberations by the expert selection committee. These are comprised of the chairs and co-chairs of each of the thematic technical expert panels. And so they're familiar with the proposals from the previous round. And then depending upon the different criteria, such as fund availability, the quality of projects, the focus area for that year, a certain theme-wise cutoffs are set again. And if you make that cutoff, you are a successful grantee. The list of grantees are then made available on the BIRAC big website. Now, please remember, if at any stage you do not make it to the next round, you will always receive feedback through your big partner, and you can address the points that were raised by the reviewers, the concerns that were raised, and you can adequately address them and reapply again. Please do not be discouraged if you do not land the grant at your first try. We've seen applicants who've gone on to apply for this grant 3 or 4 times before they've been successful. Now, once you're a successful grantee, you are then guided along by your big partner who carry out the required due diligence, and then in a milestone-based fashion, release your funds in 3 tranches. Normally, under the current situation, from start to finish, this process takes about 6 to 8 months. Now, I've mentioned this already, but just to reiterate, the reviewers who review your written proposal, the technical expert panelists, all of them are come from a pool of BIRAC-approved domain experts, investors, business leaders, and so on. And as I mentioned already, at the first stage, which is the online review stage, the geometric mean and mean is taken and the cutoff decisions are made at every stage that qualifies you to the next round. And whether you make it to the next round or not, you will always receive feedback that will be very valuable in improving your proposal and even in your journey as an entrepreneur. Now, some of the criteria on which the reviewers and later the technical expert panel, what they gauge the potential or the success, underlying success of your proposal are basically, of course, the most important thing is the technical viability of the project. So you should have a technically sound project with scientifically laid out experiments. If it is a prototype that you're developing, the technology behind it, the testing that you will do, the validation that you will do should all be very properly written out and laid out for the reviewer. And you should have a good technical background to deal with any of the concerns and the questions that are raised. The other 2 very critical things about this grant is the unmet need. Now, this is a government grant, and so the need that you're addressing should be very critical to some aspect of Indian society, whether it be health tech, whether it be the agri sector. So it should service some unmet need, critical unmet need in the Indian context. Now, if there is, and this should come out very clearly in your problem statement. Now, if there is a problem that is being looked at, or that innovators are thinking of addressing, there are going to be several solutions either in the market already or in the process of development. Now, these could be from established players in the market or from new startups who are innovating in the field. Now, for this, you need to have a clear idea of what gap areas are being left by these existing solutions, how you're going to fill them, how your particular solution is going to be unique, have its own novelty aspects while being sufficiently differentiated from the market products. You have to remember that you have 18 months to take your product closer to the market. And so if you look at the market in 18 months of your product development, you should be in a stage, you should understand who your direct competitors are, and you should be in a stage to have a competitive edge over them for you to be marketable. Again, the value proposition is an important factor for this grant. What value do you add? Are you an import substitute? Are you bringing affordability? Are you improving access? Are you reducing time? For instance, if you have a diagnostic solution, are you reducing the time and the effort that goes into active diagnosis of a particular disease? So these are some of the things that you should put in your written proposal. Again, the team strength sways many a reviewer. So please highlight adequately your expertise, the complementary skill sets, as I mentioned earlier, for your team members. Now, for every particular proposal that or every particular idea that you have, please approach an appropriate business mentor, technical mentor, domain expert, thought leader in that field, and onboard them at an early stage. And when reviewers see the kind of people that are mentoring you, they also are quite happy to see that you have approached the right people and that you are serious about your solution and you intend to take it to its successful conclusion. And so having the right kind of mentors on your team will also create a favorable impression amongst the reviewers. Of course, as I mentioned, the focus or the thrust of this grant is commercialization. So you should have a very clear business perspective. What is your potential customer? Have you identified is the customer segment that you're going to target? Is that clear in your mind? What is the market potential for your innovation? Do you have some clarity on the go-to-market strategy, on the long-term commercialization plan for your particular product? Do you have a bouquet of other products that you're thinking in the same domain? So some such clarity has to come through through your proposal. And if you're unable as an early stage innovator to come up with this on your own, please write or talk to your big partner, approach your incubator and use their mentors and their expertise to bring some more clarity and have some more clarity regarding this aspect of your proposal. Again, a well-written proposal, as I mentioned, is the first step for you to successfully landing this grant. Please remember that most of the proposals get rejected at the online review stage. So your proposal should be well written with a clear problem statement, as I mentioned earlier. And this problem statement should cover a critical unmet need that is indeed a true need and not because you have a solution, don't create a need that is not a critical one for our society. Also, you should have done some end user mapping. Who are you targeting in the market? Do some groundwork, reach out to these end users, find out exactly what their pain points are and how your solution is going to address those pain points. For instance, if your end user is a doctor, reach out to as many as you can and see what exactly they need in the solution that you're designing for them and incorporate those changes or take that feedback into account. As I've already mentioned, the technology details should be very clear in your proposal. Please remember that technical experts are looking at your proposal, and if you leave any ambiguity regarding what the technical basis of your solution is, that is not going to go in your favor. Now, you might be trying to keep certain aspects of your technology confidential because you're trying to IP protect it. In that case, reveal as much as you're comfortable revealing, while at the same time highlighting what exactly your solution is, what it is going to do, and how it is differentiated. Now, the competition and the competitive edge that your solution brings is extremely important for you to land this grant. So please do a thorough market search for who your direct and indirect competitors are and adequately represent this in your written proposal. Please remember that this is a very involved grant with several sections, and there is some documentation that is required that is very critical for reviewers to properly review your proposal. Please remember that reviewers are often reviewing 20 to 25 proposals, and they can, in a short amount of time, they need to get the gist of what you're proposing. And there, things like the concept note, which gives an overview of your solution from the problem statement to the existing solutions, to where the gaps are, how your solution comes in, what the technical details are, and how you plan to take it to the market. So all of this in a concise fashion is presented in the concept note, and this is very critical. This and the slide deck that you upload together with your proposal is extremely important for them to get an overview of your solution. Again, the competitive landscape should be actively captured as part of your novelty note. This will normally be in a matrix or tabular form with the parameters as rows and your key competitors as columns. If there are too many existing market players, please try to involve only your key competitors in that case. Again, a roadmap not only for the 18-month period of the grant, but a long-term roadmap that shows them how you're going to proceed with taking your or launching your product in the market is very critical. For those in the health tech domain, your roadmap will of course involve getting regulatory approvals, doing clinical trials and such. And even though this grant does not allow you to complete the entire product development, but only partly, but the roadmap should cover the entire steps so that the reviewers are aware that you know what it entails to take your product to market. Now, although this is an early stage ideation to proof of concept grant, data goes a long way in convincing people of your solution. There, of course, is going to be some general data that will back up your problem statement. And these, please draw them from reliable sources. Also, you will have done some preliminary work to support some of the claims that you're making about your solution. These will normally be small scale studies, a lab scale study, or a small scale proof of principle. And any data that you've generated from there should be adequately presented so that there is some confidence in some of the claims that you're making. Again, for your teams and mentors, please do not forget to upload their CVs. Now, just a broad overview of the grant. Please have for the outline of the grant, please have a very effective title. Try to avoid too much technical jargon or very lengthy titles. Try to keep it precise so that even from a technical expert to a layperson looking at your title, they know exactly what your solution is. So keep it to the point and brief with some elaboration on what your solution is. Again, as I mentioned earlier, please source your statistics from reliable sources. Don't pick up any internet resource. Please make sure that they are actually proper publications such as reports, papers, and such. Also, as I mentioned earlier, a little bit of market research or prior art search to bring out the novelty aspects of your solution, as well as the other innovations that exist, so that you can see whether you have freedom to operate and whether you're sufficiently differentiated from other innovations in the field. This is often key. Now, for the body of the proposal, please make sure that you're adequately covering all the key matrices of evaluation that I pointed out earlier. Your documents should be carefully prepared and uploaded. And please, when you write this grant, get your drafts looked at by your mentors, your incubator, your big partner, so that you receive sufficient feedback to improve on these drafts. Please try not to submit the first draft that you've written, which is why you have to put some time into writing this grant. And the more feedback you get, the better structured and clearer your written proposal is going to be. Again, I cannot emphasize the importance of data enough for you. So please make sure all the key claims that you're making about your solution is supported by some data. If you've been unable to do a small scale proof of principle and you don't have any data that you've generated, please revert to any existing publications in the field or anything that kind of shows that your idea is technically feasible to take for the grant tenure. Again, if you have any existing patents, any papers, anything that shows your the feasibility of the project and as well as your expertise in executing it, please include that as well. Now, these are the key 8 sections of the proposal that you have to cover. Again, I've mentioned the concept note. The proposal summary is much like the concept note. In one, it's a first section of your proposal, and this is where you give an overview of your solution, your market competition, and of course, the unmet need that you're servicing. I've already mentioned the novelty note. Again, there you capture your competitive landscape. Coming to the objectives and milestones, these have to be, there has to be 3 key milestones to your project for that 18 months. These 3 key milestones should be key to the development of your technology and establishment of your proof of concept. So one milestone for the 6th, 12th, and 18th month. that will be achievable, realistic, and very key to your product development. Again, the objectives that you lay out for yourself should be very realistic. So try not to be too ambitious because you just have 50 lakhs of rupees and 18 months to execute the project. And so try to be realistic in your objectives and milestones. Again, for every solution, there is going to be some challenges with its technical execution or its possible feasibility. And so you have to have mitigation strategies, and the grant itself will ask you to have alternative strategies. And so please think on these carefully. So if plan A does not work, you have to have a viable plan B to fall back on. As I mentioned earlier, again, certain business aspects such as the go-to-market strategy, there should be clarity there. And for a go-to-market strategy, you should again have identified the right customer segment for your product or technology. Again, the TRL level is something, or the technology readiness level is something that is required for you to put into the grant. Now, please remember that this is an early stage grant, so somewhere between 2 to 3 is where your TRL should lie. If you, this is a nebulous area, so if you're unable to determine whether you lie within the right TRL for this grant, please reach out to your big partner as well as your incubator, and they will guide you to determine the right TRL level. Again, the budget should be realistic and meet the different budget heads that have been mandated by BIRAC. Again, the presentation, a crisp slide deck goes a long way. And so please upload these as well. Coming to the budgeting, as I mentioned earlier, this is one of those budgets that allow you to hire manpower for the execution of the project. But please remember that mentors, advisors, and otherwise salaried individuals cannot draw a salary from the grant. Also, the maximum salary that you can offer somebody through this grant is 50,000 rupees a month, and salary should be commensurate with the person's educational and qualifications and experience. And now under equipment, please remember that it is a mandate that you be associated with an incubator for the execution of your project. Now, most BioNest and other advanced incubators these days are very well equipped. So you cannot budget in expensive pieces of equipment that might already be available with your incubator. So that is something to keep in mind. Again, as I mentioned, incubation, you will be associated with an incubation center. Please remember that the incubation center, as I mentioned earlier, when I was highlighting the incubators that are here with us today, provide you not only with infrastructure support, but access to their network. And as a young startup, that will be very crucial for your success. There are other flexible heads as well, such as the consumables and contingency. Again, depending upon your project, you might need some aspects outsourced. For instance, if you need some fabrication facilities that you do not have access to in your incubator, or you would like something tested in professional labs, you can budget those in outsource. Now, I have mentioned this several times already, but I will reiterate, there are two entities that you, when you're applying for this grant, will need to identify. One is a big partner and one is the incubator. Now, there are 8 big partners across the country, and when identifying the big partner, this is just a drop-down menu when you're applying for the grant, so you can select one of your choice. This big partner will help you from start to finish. So from the process, from the time that you're thinking of applying, and eventually when you're closing up, or you're towards the end of the successful execution of the grant, the big partner will handhold you throughout this entire process. They're also responsible in monitoring the progress during the 18 months of the grant if you're a successful grantee, and release funds on time, and provide access to their network as well. Now, I come to you today on behalf of SINE, IIT Bombay, which we are a big partner. Now, coming to the incubators, as I mentioned earlier, and I highlighted several of our participating incubators today, they provide you with not only a space to work and infrastructure to carry out the experiments and prototype development steps that you require, but they will also help you, help your startup with raising follow-on funds and handhold you to ensure your success. So these are the two entities that together will assist you throughout your big grant. Now, SINE IIT Bombay is an incubator as well. And like all the previous incubators that I mentioned today, we offer the same kind of facilities as them. We are focused on deep tech solutions that have the potential to create intellectual property while also supporting the economic growth, creating social impact and strategic value to the Indian economy. Now, as a big partner, what can we offer you? Like I mentioned, we can help you write a better grant. So you can reach out to us when you're writing your grant. We will look over your drafts. We will provide constructive criticism and feedback, and we will help you structure your solution in the best possible way that you can. We can also provide you with some mentoring, should you need it, to understand how to, again, take your solution and put it in an effective way within this grant for you to be successful in landing it. Besides that, as the journey progresses and as you are associated with us as a big partner, we can provide you access to not only incubation, our incubation facilities, should you require it, but also access to past grantees. You can share in their journey, you can leverage their networks, share their experiences to allow you to succeed in your journey. Besides that, any other aspect that you might require help with throughout those 18 months and beyond, we are there to help you. Now, I wanted to highlight some of our successful grantees that we've had thus far. And also my colleague Pranita will come in towards the end and add anything that I've missed. Because while I'm highlighting these grantees to you, I also want to share with you some of our experiences on how to, on what things to consider when you're writing grants in this particular domain. For instance, in MedTech, we have, I've just highlighted a couple, we have more grantees in this domain. However, I've just highlighted 4 here. For instance, one where they're using genome sequencing data to improve the diagnosis and effective treatment of infectious diseases such as TB. Now, this grantee has been associated with us as an incubator and also has landed the grant on their second attempt. And while we were guiding them through this process, we helped them basically restructure their grant, reach out and onboard the right mentors who then gave them the right advice as to how to even think of the solution. Now, there is, for those of you who are applying in MedTech as well, this is something that I would like to stress. When you have a solution, a potential solution in this domain, please try to onboard a clinician or the appropriate expert early on in your journey, so that they can advise you and help you structure not only your big grant, but your solution overall in general. Now, for instance, this grantee that is using the genome sequencing data would always share with us how these sequencers, like most of the good hospitals have them, and they just lay unused. And so they've come up with a solution that will leverage those existing infrastructure and improve or revolutionize the field of diagnosis. So you might look, so when, again, that brings me to my second point. When you are innovating in the health tech domain, have an understanding of the ground realities of the particular subdomain that you are going to be servicing. So there also the end user mapping comes into play, where if you reach out to who your end user is and you have an idea of what exactly goes on in that particular pathway of diagnosis or treatment or assistance or rehabilitation, then you have a better understanding and you can come up with a better solution. For instance, my next idea is from a big grantee who came up with a movable robotic exoskeleton to assist physiotherapists for upper limb rehabilitation. Now, there too, they reached out to actually rehab centers that were struggling with this. They figured out what the pain points are. Here, the grantee himself was struggling with this rehabilitation because of an accident that they had been in. And so this complete and thorough understanding of the ground knowledge and what goes into rehab helped them design the perfect product and help them win this grant. Now, next, there are also some innovators who are coming up with areas such as wound healing. So they're coming up with medical imaging and deep learning to assess wound healing after flap surgery. Similarly, there is a dentist who's received this grant by coming up with a flexible, low-cost dental burr for gingivital curettage. Now, here what I would like to highlight is for all of you who are innovating in the health tech domain, you know that there is a long gestation period for coming up with a device. Or getting a regulatory approval. So having a clear idea right at the beginning of what regulatory hurdles lay in front of you will help you, as I said earlier, map out your exact roadmap, and you will know exactly how to proceed. And so if you have some idea about the regulatory approvals that you need to get, you will have an idea about how far or how long it will take you for developing that product. Often during TEP, you will be asked, so when do you think you'll be able to launch this product in the market? And often, if you do not have an idea on the regulatory aspect of things or other compliance factors that will come into play later on, you will underestimate the time that you will take, and immediately, you might lose their confidence that you are able to take this solution to its logical conclusion, which is commercialization in this case. So again, the entire pathway that your solution is fitting somewhere in the diagnostic pathway, from when the patient is going to the doctor to where they're finally being monitored for progress. Somewhere in that pathway, your solution fits in. You have to know exactly where, and that will bring some clarity on your designing as well. Now, just highlighting a couple of grantees in the industrial biotech area. We have a startup that is involved in removing pharmaceuticals from wastewater using diamond electrodes. And we also have a startup that is basically developing a biodegradable packaging material. Now, in the industrial biotech field, if you are finding a way to take waste products and convert them into value-added end products, that again is very favorably looked upon, because that is a need, a critical unmet need in Indian society. We generate a lot of waste, whether it be agricultural, municipality, or any other waste, that if it could be converted to something useful, would impact the economy in a big way. And so when you're thinking of proposals in this domain, please always think of the scalability. Okay, so if you have developed something on a small scale, think about how feasible it is to scale up this process and take it mainstream, because you are going to you're innovating in an industrial process domain. And so you should have some clarity about what the yield is going to be, how competitive you're going to be to existing products in the market, that say you're taking a biotechnological approach to synthesis of a particular thing. You might have to compete with the chemical synthesis of the same product. Now, how are you going to compete? What value additions are you providing? Again, you're in the industrial biotech domain. Are you in any way contributing or protecting the environment from the existing processes? That also is very critical. Also, you will need other kinds of testing and compliance, which is your regulatory aspect, and you should have some clarity on that as well. Now, coming to grantees and the Agritech, again, we have a wide variety in this domain. For instance, we have a platform where all the stakeholders of an agricultural supply chain for the chili crop in Andhra Pradesh have been united together. Then we have milking come cooling pail to help marginalized dairy farmers take their product to the processing industries as quickly as possible. Also, early pregnancy detection kits for cattle, so that it helps those who are involved in animal husbandry. Also, cold storage solutions for the preservation of agricultural produce, because from the farm finally to the market, there is required to prevent loss of agricultural produce. There is the requirement for such storages. Similarly, we also have a big grantee that has an agricultural robot. They're developing this as part of an integrated solution for the cotton crop. For the big grant, they've focused on the cotton picking aspect of it. Again, this is a key element that you should remember, that even if you have an idea that has many aspects to it, focus on one for this particular grant. We also have secondary agriculture or food tech industry, we have some a startup that is successfully coming up with some edible scaffolds for the artificial meat industry. As you know, that's a very hot area of research right now. And also production of phytochemicals, finding the optimal spectral regimes to produce phytochemicals. Now, in this domain, again, your end users are extremely important. Whether they're farmers or they're stakeholders somewhere in the supply chain, you should have clarity on who you're targeting the solution, and that you are truly servicing some of their true pain points. Okay. Again, this is any Agritech solution should be affordable. So affordability should be taken into account. Nowadays, a lot of these solutions are to improve the precision of farming and improve yields through that. And but please remember, there are some technical challenges, again, ground realities, such as we do not have the large-scale farms, etc., that require the deployment of machinery and other stuff. Also, you should have some knowledge about the kind of crop that you're addressing, the kind of pests, if you're the soil conditions, etc., if you're looking for solutions in that regard. Again, as I mentioned, this is an early stage grant, so the TRL should not be above 4, and large-scale field trials, clinical trials, etc., are not supported by this grant because of the dearth of time and money. Again, a BIG is only a foot through the door for you. There are BIRAC funds for every stage of your product development, and you can reach out to us for more information about these grants. For faculty within the audience, please remember that the PACE grant is another grant that is quite suitable for you. There is a royalty clause that's been recently added for the revenue generating big companies. And this is 5% of royalty to be paid on the net sales or whenever there is a technology transfer or licensing happening. Again, just a few take-home messages. Please start the application process early, get the necessary letters and documentation and upload them. Provide preliminary data and any validating and supporting documents for your technical feasibility. For your team members and your mentors, please upload the CVs. Try to submit a week in advance. Please remember that towards the end, there are technical glitches that might prevent you from submitting on time. And remember that the deadline is 5:30 and not midnight. Again, for further questions that do not get resolved through the session, please write to us at sine_big@sineIITB.org. You can reach out to us with any questions that you might have. Please visit the SINE website and the SINE YouTube channel for more such sessions. With that, I'll stop sharing my screen. And Pranita, over to you.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Vradati. I think what we'll do is that instead of me, I mean, sometimes what I do is I summarize and I give more information on the other BIRAC programs, but that we can do later on as well. There are too many questions. Our Q&A chat box is flooding actually. So I think what we'll do right now, we'll take questions first. We will unmute also some of the people who have raised their hand. We'll take their question, we'll address them. And then if time permits, of course, I would like to speak about some two or other a couple of other programs, which can also help academic people as well. But let me just take let me just answer a few questions which already I have answered in chat box, but for for other people interest or their benefit as well. So people from the academic institution can apply for BIG if you are a graduate. So graduation is the primary eligibility criteria. If you are a student pursuing PhD degree, if you are a student pursuing MTech, you can apply for this. If you are pursuing postdoc, you can apply for BIG grant. Why you are, you need not to leave your postdoc or PhD or anything. You have to take NOC from your institution or research institute, university, and then you can go ahead and you can work on BIG. However, your thesis work and BIG project will not be the same. So it could be an extension of your, what you would like to do in PhD. It could be extension of that. You may would like to, define the scope of both the both PhD as well as BIG grant. So these are the differences. So being a student, you can apply. There are, there was one question from faculty member as well. So as a faculty member also, you can apply for this grant. The only thing is that you have to get NOC from your institution, as well as you need to have a clear policy at your institution which allows you to accept such government funding and to incorporate a startup, because as Bradati already mentioned, the mandate of the program says that you have to incorporate a startup within 18 months duration of the project. And in case faculty member do not want to incorporate a startup immediately, let's say within this 18 months, then there is another program that is called as a PACE program from BIRAC. So that's a promoting academic research conversion to enterprise. That's a PACE program where you can apply, and this is a similar kind of grant which you receive. It is a 50 lakh grant money which you will receive, and the project duration is 24 months. And here it is not mandatory that you should incorporate a startup immediately. So after 2 years, if you feel that now you would like to go ahead and incorporate a startup, you again based on the scope of your project and the stage which you have achieved, you can select different BIRAC grants and apply for them. If you need any more information on that, you can please get in touch with us. Now, what I'll request Dashrath is, please, if you could unmute people who have raised their hand, they can ask their question. We will also take few questions from chat box as well.
Yes, 1 second, Pranita. I just want to quickly answer one question. So there is a question about where to find the list of big partners. Again, it is available on the BIRAC big webpage. And another question was whether all the documents have to be submitted by 15th, and if you can submit this later. And then again, it will depend on your big partner. If you missed a document, your big partner at a later stage will ask you to provide that during the eligibility check process. Over to you.
That's correct. And as I already mentioned, the criteria for MSc student is the similar. You can apply as an individual innovator. If you want to incorporate a startup, you can go ahead and incorporate a startup and then apply as a startup as well. So OPC can also apply here, private limited companies and LLP. I think Dashrath, if you could unmute people. Rameshkumar Ramakrishnan, if we can have question from him. Sure, I will share the link for the PACE program as well for the faculty members. Sure, Raj.
Madam, hello.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, your session is very useful, madam. Thank you very much for inspiring us. Yeah, basically, I'm Rameshkumar. I'm residing in Israel, madam, doing my postdoc. I would like to carry out some research work in India because I have developed one novel fertilizer from seaweed, madam. So, okay. And yeah, 2 years back, I have approved with various food crops and vegetable crops for the yield promotion and received good response. Then I published a few papers in our essay journals. Now I have given that as a fertilizer to my area farmers. Last year, they have used that product formulation in the field and got good number of yielding in rice paddy fields.
Okay.
Yeah, now I would like to promote that novel fertilizer into a good one by the formulation through some standardized protocols. Then shall I eligible to apply for the fund through? Then I have initiated one trust also, madam, for our village students giving free education. So through my trust, shall it eligible to apply for that fund, madam?
That trust, yes, they can apply for funds. This call. However, I feel you are beyond the scope of BIG because it's for the POC, proof of concept of any idea, which I feel you have already established. So you may have to apply for other grants. There are other grants called SIGRI and BIPP. But again, these are the grants where they need a private limited companies or LLP to apply. So, trust cannot apply there. So in that case, because of the scope, BIG may not be the right area, right grant, and you may have to incorporate some private limited company or LLP to apply. And the 51%, minimum 51% share will lie with the Indian person who is holding Indian passport, so Indian nationality or something. So that kind of arrangement you should have. And then of course you can apply for BIRAC grants or any other government funding for that matter.
And one more question, madam. And apart from this, I have developed one database for India, madam, which contain 1,500 red listed plants, because India don't have a separate website for red listed plants. So I have initiated one database for 1,500 medicinal plants for preservation point of view, madam. So I would like to take into a next level, making into a nursery and botanical gardens and preserving those plants. Is there eligibility to apply in this scheme?
Maybe it may not be, this scheme may not be an appropriate scheme for that, because it's like a documentation and all that. But I think we have a Jonathan here from ICRISAT. I think
tissue culture protocol also I developed a tissue culture unit.
Yeah, so I think Jonathan here from the ICRISAT would be able to help you more, and he has already provided his coordinates here. Jonathan, if you would like to say something here, yeah, please.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Pranata. Sure, we will be happy to have a look at it, Mr. Ramesh. We have given our email ID details in the chat. Happy to take it offline.
Thank you,
it's
sir.
pretty interesting that you are looking to deploy technology that you developed working with during your PhD times, etc. from Israel. So very happy to hear that kind of initiative from you, and your society work as well. Great.
Sir.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's you should do it. They have a very experienced team there working there at ICRISAT in Incube. So I think they'll help you. Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Kumar, you can ask your question next.
Hello, madam. Good evening, and good evening to everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. See, I'm having a partnership firm. That's my company identity as of now, and slowly I'm just applied for a private limited company. So that is my status. I'm working in aquaculture industry. In fact, I got incubated in NEGRI, so that training program is going on. So I'm working on smart farming solution into the aquaculture sector. So this is what I'm doing. So I just want to know whether being with NEGRI's incubation program, whether I can apply for this BIRAC. That's question number one. And question number two is I'm having a partnership firm. So whether that is eligible to apply for this BIRAC.
Okay.
And
so,
and my company, we have reached to MVP level now. So
MVP level.
Yes, minimum viable product.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm working on bundle of services. Out of 4 product what we want to launch, one product we have developed as an MVP. Other products is under development. So this is where exactly we are. So I need some kind of hand-holding for this.
Oh, got it. So of course you can apply for BIG for aquaponics or hydroponics or aquaculture related projects are welcome there. The one thing is that partnership firm is not eligible. So you have to have a private limited company. Yeah, of course, the partnership limited LLPs are eligible, but if there has to be some kind of a proper structure or something, so those are eligible to have. So we may have to discuss on what kind of a partnership firm you have. We would like to look at it before we tell you that whether you fit into the scheme or not. The other thing is that you can apply being at any incubation center. So you have to apply through SINE as a BIG partner, and your incubation center could remain NAVIC there, and you can be there, you can do your work. You can, if you are getting some other points or any mentorship program or you are in, you can be associated with them. That's no issue. So you can go ahead and apply for BIG. We just have to check what kind of a firm partnership firm you have. Maybe you can get in touch with us, write to us, and then we can have more information on that.
Fine. So is there any email ID or contact details that you will be providing? So
yeah, I think I've put it in the chat box, sign_BIG@sineITP.org. And Pradati is also, I think, flash that slide, and we'll again flash that slide for some moment again. And please do write to us so that we can tell you on the eligibility criteria for this.
No, we have not received your message, madam. I'm just checking the chat box.
Okay, so Pradati, could you just put it in the chat box again? Or,
Yes, I will put it in the chat box. Mr. Vinayak, please go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, hi, this is Vinayak from Bangalore. So I run a food processing industry for the last 6 years, and my educational qualification is that of a computer science graduate. I don't have the necessary, qualifications to be in line for such grants. I understand when you score for, typically people from biotechnology or biochemistry background come into this line and they are a natural choice for incubators to shortlist. So basically we have so whatever the food processing waste we generate, we have identified a biopolymer, which is 100% import substitute, which can be harvested from the waste. So I just wanted to understand what are our chances as a person who is coming from a different academic background, and how easy or difficult it is for someone like us to make a commercially viable product even after we are incubated. I mean, being short of hands or we not being the direct people involved hands-on, how easy or difficult it is to happen, or if there are any such success stories already there.
Okay. One thing is that you said 6 years in the industry. Do you have your own company, or you would like to go ahead as an individual innovator or something?
Yeah, we have our own company, yes.
What is it? You said 6 years. So what can I know the incorporation date?
2013.
So in that case, what happens? The eligibility criteria which Bratati mentioned is like 5 years from the date of call launch. So, you may not fit there as in the eligibility, but, there is no limitation on who is applying and what is the background.
Okay.
Of course, if you have a relevant team members with relevant team members who has those expertise, the PI may or may not have the expertise in that area. But of course, sometimes while looking at the application, experts may take their own decision. But they also look at it that whether team member has relevant expertise, a technical, business, or what. And if it is a balanced team, then they definitely go ahead with that. So it's it's not a matter that whether you really belong to bio background or not.
Okay.
It really doesn't matter.
Sure, ma'am.
Pranita, there's another question. My product is an organic hand wash, so it can be. So can I apply in secondary agriculture or in healthcare?
So it's basically healthcare solution because that will be considered in healthcare. Yeah, definitely.
There is another question from Dr. Prabha, who's an associate professor of the Department of Biotechnology. She wants to know, kindly suggest for applying grants for stem cells and regenerative medicine by collaboration with stem cell company.
So yes, I read that question. So, so Dr. Prabha, thank you for attending this session. What I would like to know is that you mentioned you are a professor, associate professor, right? And in that case, associate professor, Department of Biotechnology, Ramaya Institute. Yeah. So in that case, you don't want to incorporate a company. In case you don't want to incorporate a company and then collaborate with someone, then there is a grant called PACE program. Okay, in that case, you can collaborate with the industry. That is a PACE AIR and PACE CRS scheme. So in that case, in both PACE AIR and PACE CRS, you can collaborate with the industry either for developing the technology or validation. Let's say if you have a technology which is developed or at certain stage and you would like to validate it with the industry, you can do that. Or you can develop that along with the industry. So academic program, that is a PACE program, is a perfect program for that. There is one more program actually which you can think about, but that's for a stage beyond BIG. So BIG may not be a good fit for that, but SIBRI, where industry can apply. Let's say that industry is industry is doing the stem cell research, they can apply for that scheme, and they can show academia as a collaborative partner, where you can collaborate with that industry and be a part of that program, SIBRI program. So the grant is there is no upper cap as such there. The maximum limit is 1 CR, but then 50 lakh comes as a straight grant. Above 50 lakh, you have to do the matching contribution. So you and your industry partner that can definitely meet that and contribution, and you can get grant from BIRAC. So these are two options, SIBRI and PACE.
There is a question from Dr. Sudhakar Reddy. I have an idea for production of biofuel which needs genetic engineering and validation. Am I eligible to apply?
Of course, you are eligible to apply. But we would like to know more about you, whether you would like to go ahead as an individual or whether you would like to incorporate a company or something.
And also I would like to add here, Pranita, that if you are planning during the 18 months to actually do the exploration into the genetic engineering, that might be too little of a time for you to develop the product. So if you could just take forward any of your genetically engineered strains and do validation or look at the commercial aspects of it, scaling up and stuff like that, that would be more suitable.
Excuse me, madam, this is Sudhakar Reddy. Actually, that question was from the Tushar, not from me. I am trying to answer him, then I think by mistakenly you read my name.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
So, Dr. Sudhakar, you would like to contribute something?
No problem. Actually, I thought of replying to that person. Okay. So we are happy to do collaboration with that project because our regular work is on the genetic engineering, developing the genomic plants. So we are happy to collaborate with him if that person is from the industry. Okay. So I think, so I don't know the name, but if Tushar. So Tushar, you can please contact Dr. Sudhakar Reddy, who is here, and you can take this thing ahead, and you can apply for PIG. But in case you could share more details with us by writing to us, we can have one-on-one meeting, and then we can guide you well how you can apply for that on that aspect. Thank you.
There's a question from Mahantesh Biradar. He's a PhD scholar and he wants to know that he has an idea about waste, dry waste, converting them into biofuel briquettes for boiling material instead of using coal. So it's an environmentally and safe solution. So is he eligible to apply? And in what section, in what scheme, like what theme?
Okay, so I think, yes, you are eligible to apply, and there is a theme, industrial biotechnology, under which there are sub-themes waste management. So under that, you will be able to do that.
There's a question from Dipali. Dipali, if you could please raise your hand and unmute yourself and ask this question live, it will be help us to understand what your question actually is.
Okay, meanwhile, there is one question that whether only private limited companies are eligible or proprietorships are eligible. Proprietorships are not eligible to apply for BIG. Private limited companies and LLP.
There's a question from Nitesh Kumar. They got selected for pre-incubation in Manipal Biotech Hackathon. Are they eligible to apply?
But we would need more information besides that, that what kind of a technology you're working and what stage it is. Then we will be able to tell you which theme you will be eligible. Then what are your educational qualification or something? Because to understand the eligibility criteria, are you going to apply as an individual or startup? So we need all this information. But yes, being at Manipal University, we understand it could be related to, of course, healthcare domain. So we would need more information on other stuff to understand whether you are a scheme fit or not. But of course, you can be there and apply for BIG grant through SINE.
Dr. Anandita Biswas, she's asked whether there are some training programs for hydroponics and to prepare her, I guess, to write this grant. You can look at, so we have two Agritech incubation centers here. You can check their websites to see if they're providing any specific training for that. Hydroponics is covered under secondary agriculture. And so if you come up with an idea in hydroponics, you can apply in that category. But about specific training programs, you'll have to do some research. You'll have to approach these incubators and see if they can provide any workshops and such.
Yeah, Dr. Biswas, John decide. Definitely there are, I mean, if you do a Google search, you'll definitely come across certain online courses. You might need to differentiate the model between what you're doing with the existing startups and models which have been supported in the country right now. So it is an area of great interest given the urban agriculture segment. but we also need to figure out what would be the differentiation that you would be bringing in your model.
Great. Nice, Jonathan. I think in case you would like to fine-tune your BIG application, then probably you can talk to us, you can talk to Jonathan here as well and talk to us as well. We can put you in touch with some experts who can help you on that. There's one question in the chat box. Incubation is mandatory to apply. Yes, incubation is mandatory. All these programs says that once you selected for a grant, you have to get incubated with any of the incubator which has a legal status as an incubator in India. And here there are a few partners who are incubator partners. So if you are from this region, you can get in touch with them. If you are from Mumbai, you can get in touch with us as well. And if you have your own facility, let's say if you are a private limited company and you have your own R&D facility, which is sufficient to conduct your or complete your BIG project or execute your BIG project, then that has to be that will be looked into during due diligence process. Meanwhile, you can say you have your own R&D facility, and if that is a sufficient, if during due diligence it is find that this space or whatever R&D infrastructure which you have, it is sufficient, then you need not to incubate anywhere. You can just go ahead with your own R&D facility which you have.
Excuse me, Dr. Pranita. Yeah, this is Sudhakar Reddy. Actually, there is one question on the, I can submit the project related to the improvement genetically by tissue culture for the date farm. I think in this area, I think we can help that person, whoever that interested, I think we can help to that person developing the protocols for the tissue culture for the date farm.
Yeah, I think it's Rameshkumar. Please do get in touch with Dr. Sudhakar Reddy, and let's say if anything which can be commercialized from this and has a commercial viability or have a good market for this, please do consider BIG as your funding opportunity for this.
Thank
you. There is a question. Can we unmute Pavitra here? Dashat, if we can unmute Pavitra.
Yeah. Pavitra, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, good evening, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yes,
yes, ma'am. So I'm a PhD scholar doing my PhD degree. So currently I'm started my work, but the question is, I'm doing my literature review, all the concepts now. So whether can I apply and write in 250 words of proof with a proof of concept? If is this sufficient? And the one more question is, if I can't complete my work after within 18 months, so is there any problem will be because if my work prolongs or in such cases, is there any thing?
Okay. So Pavitra, see, as if I go with a scheme mandate or something, yes, you are eligible to apply. And you said if you have done literature survey and you write your concept note and all, of course, that is also acceptable. If you don't have any data, then you can also back it up with literature that this has been done and this has been shown as it is a feasible work or so. However, this grant is a very competitive grant. So selection rate is 7 to 8%, and kind of application, number of applications we receive is close to 700, 800. So in that case, when finally when people looked at your application, they will look at it as whether it is very early stage or whether do you have any preliminary data to prove this, or to at least show that you have this competency, you're competent enough to take this project ahead. So that kind of the things would be looked at. They will look at your project from those angles, and these will be considered while they consider any application for grant. So of course, as a scheme fit or something, you will as a scheme mandate you can apply for this, but selection depends on all such things. And the other thing is that in case you delay, you have so no delay are acceptable in case of a BIG grant. You have to complete your project within 18 months. But of course, due to pandemic, there has been a lot of delays on various front, and therefore some projects have been given extension. Otherwise, BIG grant milestones are tied up with the, BIG milestones are tied up with the BIG fund tranches. So if you don't achieve your milestone, and these are like 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. So if you don't achieve your milestone in time, the funds will not be released to you, and it has to be completed within 18 months. And for that, you have a manpower head that you can hire people, relevant team members, and you can get your work completed, you can supervise it or something. So that kind of support is available with the grant.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for it.
May-
Yeah, Deepali, please go ahead.
yeah, thank you. We are Mumbai-based LLP, and we were. I had put the question that we have technologies. I mean, our team comes from environmental biotech background, and we develop technologies for waste management. So milk pouch waste management, and there are other few technologies that we have. But we need hand holding because we come from a technical background. We are more interested in transferring them or licensing them, and for such kind of R&D based LLPs, what would you recommend?
See, LLPs, again, if you meet all the age-related criteria, that it has to be 5 years old from the
This year we have, we are from NAVIC also, and this year we have just incorporated it.
So of course, scheme mandate, you are fit for the scheme as per their mandate. The other thing is that this scheme also allows, licensing technology, licensing of technology, of course. However, while again selecting, the way I said, it is a very competitive grant. While selecting, these things are also taken in consideration, whether the startup LLP, though it is LLP or private limited company, are they going to take this product, technology or a product to the market themselves, or are they going to license it? So though it is allowed, but sometimes selection is based on criteria. They give more. They encourage people who would like to take the technology on their own to the market. So that's one thing while selecting finally. But as a scheme fit, yes, you can apply, and you are within the, you are meeting all the criteria, mandatory criteria for this grant.
Okay, great. So we can come. I mean, we can come and meet IIT Bombay because we come from University Mumbai, so we can approach IIT Bombay as a partner and start writing the grant and all that.
Yes.
So we applied for big before, but at that time we were just students. So now we have grown.
So Deepali, what you do is that please do write to us, send your previous application and comments and everything, and we can meet virtually as well. And if possible, we can do physical meeting as well, Deepali, and then we can see how you can take this forward with the PhD.
Yes. We will first mail and schedule. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Deepali.
There's a question in the Q&A box. We have standardized method for mass production of black soldier fly to recycle organic waste, where the fund is being given for expanding this technology for commercial purpose, as well as to develop entrepreneurs in rural areas of Western Ghats of Karnataka. We need to understand a bit more about what you're proposing and what stage you're at. I think we'll be able to guide you better. So request you to kindly write to us, and we will talk to you further on this.
Sure. Yeah. And if you want, you can also visit BIRAC webpage. There are a couple of grants for commercialization. Very soon, we are also going to open a call for seed fund and lift fund as well from SINE. Do visit our website for the same, and these grants are for basically for scale up and commercialization, or beyond. If you have already established a PSC and if you would like to do some regulatory on, you can also apply for this funds. So do visit our website.
Pranita, there's another question, and we often repeatedly get asked this: is it okay for one candidate to put in different proposals in different domains of BIG?
Yeah, of course, you're eligible. You can do this. So for different domains, only thing is that you can apply in healthcare, you can apply in industrial biotechnology at the same time. You can have 2 or 3 applications as well. for BIG. But then what happens is that when they evaluate, the panels evaluate, they would like to see your focus. How could you do, work on healthcare at the same time? How could you work on the industrial biotechnology area? So if you can show that you have a competent and big enough team who can do this work, as long as you can do that, this is fine. You can apply from the, but of course, only one project will be granted under any scheme. So both the projects cannot grant it. So you have to take a call which one is more important or a priority. We generally suggest that go ahead with the project, one project only. But in case you have two ideas and you feel that they're equally important and they can equally be supported if you present them well, then you go ahead and submit a proposal for two ideas in two different themes or same theme as well.
Mr. Madhavan, please go ahead.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So very nice and useful presentation. I am Dr. Madhavan from Nuclear Informatics from Hyderabad, working as a research scientist. So our company is started 2012, and we are now we have our own R&D facility. We are doing genetic analysis, sequencing related things, and I would like to apply for this grant. Our goal is to develop genetic diagnostic kit development. So it is more than, less than 5 years, as you said. So is I eligible to apply for this grant? And one more thing, I just want to collaborate with the academic institution. What would be the procedure? So these are the my questions.
I just have one quick question. You mentioned it is 2012 incorporation, right?
Yes.
So it is not meeting 5 years criteria. So the 5 years from the call of date of call launch. So this time the date of call launch was 1st January 2022. So it's not really meeting the criteria of 5 years age because you're beyond, you have started.
Yeah, I understood. Beyond 5 years. So,
so you will not be able to apply for this grant, but you could be able to apply for SIPRI grant, which so this is a small business innovation research initiative that's done for SIPRI. And of course, there you can also collaborate with academic partners.
Okay.
And the process for that is that, for example, I'll take an example of IIT Bombay here. Let's say you have to just, you can go to the website of IIT Bombay and visit the different departments, their webpage, there are faculty members listed and their research interest. You can directly write to them. So we have seen that a lot of faculty members collaborate for such project. And if anything specifically you want SINE to facilitate or something in terms of connection or something, you can also write to us and we can approach them. But however, the engagement is basically if both the parties are willing to do that. So this is the way you can approach academic people. I think, and it's it goes with goes for all the similar kind of institution, not just IIT Bombay, but of course faculty members are willing to do collaboration with startups or companies. So yeah.
Okay. So it's like all premier institution like central universities or IITs like that I have to contact.
Yes. So because we have seen a lot of such connections, you can directly write to them. In case you want, you can brief us about you, and if you want any, you want to connect someone, you want to connect to someone, and if you want SINE to facilitate that, you can also write to us.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
If Jonathan, if Dr. Sudhakar, if you all have something to add, if any insights that you want to share with our attendees today, please go ahead. For the Agritech innovators, if you have a word.
Last time we tried and we not approved size restriction.
Dr. Padati,
Marshall is trying to. Marshall, we are not able to hear you.
Dr. Padati, Dr. Padati, this was very helpful, and I think a lot of queries did get answered. For the agri space, we just in the last call as well as the previous few rounds, we have seen a bit more, like you said, the competitive bidding applications which have come through in the agriculture side. Earlier, we used to see a lot of these digital-based applications, which did not fully confirm with what we were trying to look for in the biotech side. But at the last previous two calls, I think we have come across really good applications which are trying to solve issues around, say, autoprotein space. There was a query regarding Black Army, that one was a really good one. That domain is also increasingly getting visibility. So it's a good time to apply, and the scheme has been very helpful for our startups as well. So there were a couple of startups which did get funding through the BIG support, and that helped in getting their MVP done, getting scale up, and now they are really aggressively in the market as well. So this is a good opportunity that BIRAC is offering, a very competitive yet very large type ticket, so to say, in terms of grant funding to get at an early stage in your in the business cycle. So I look forward to most of the participants here. Hope they would apply, and all the best to the applicants. We are there to support if there's any query or incubation support as well as anybody wants to look for. There's also the option of a letter of intent that prospective applicants can get from incubation centers, because it will take time for incubation centers to actually go through the diligence to take them as incubators. But in the meantime, if anybody is interested in reaching out and we find this connect, we will be happy to support that application and issue any kind of letter of intent or partnership support required.
Thanks a lot, Jonathan. Dr. Sudhakar, and after that, I would ask Kaushik to please address the agri-innovators amongst us.
I think that to add further Jonathan message, I think as ICRISAT, we have very good facilities in terms of technology as well as the facilities. We are also having the state-of-art facilities for the metabolomics, proteomics, and the RGT, like speed breeding. And we are also having the tissue culture facilities. So in addition to that, we are also very good setup for the genome editing facilities. The genome editing is the new technology. I think it can be applied for the new agricultural biotechnological interventions. So I think we are having world-class facilities. Whoever interested in the agri-biotech projects or products can be contacted to us. I think we can help them for them.
Thank you, Dr. Sudhakar. Kaushik, over to you. You can unmute yourself, Kaushik, and talk. Yes, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thank SINE IIT for approaching all these small incubation centers. I consider ourselves as a small incubator. You have already gone way forward, and you are a legend in this particular area, and you have tremendous of experience. But still, you approached as a part of promoting the big BIRAC grant. So even we promoted ourselves, and yeah, majority of the questions I was just since beginning I was listening. Majority of the incubators and startups who asked questions were from again Navik, and we again have been implementing several programs, and Archive Raftar is one such program for supporting the innovative agri entrepreneurs and ideapreneurs, and by providing up to 25 lakh grant in aid support. A majority of them, some of them have got and some of them have been rejected, considering the fact that they are still research oriented, and for them this big BIRAC grant is definitely a very good initiative, and obviously I'm sure many of them will apply for this particular program. And many of the participants who are from Navik, I request all of them to apply under SINE IIT Bombay, because you have got the tremendous industry experience as well as the network and mentorship, which linkages, the global linkages you have is unimaginable. So I request all our participants to just apply under SINE IIT Bombay for the big BIRAC grant. And I once again thank you for approaching us for the small incubation centers for promoting this particular program. And I thank Pranita and Dr. Bratati for coordinating and inviting us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, Kaushik. I mean, we all work in this ecosystem, and we have to be connected. And we all have our own, segments where we are working. So your strength is agri, and we would definitely like to, find some synergy with that. We have certain programs where we can provide them some fund. You can provide them incubation support and anything else, any connects which we can also facilitate. Or here we have a ICRISAT as well and all. So of course, we all are working in this ecosystem and has to be connected, or we cannot work in cycles. So we understand that. And of course, we would like to reach out to you in future as well for doing not just for BIRAC or for other programs as well. And very soon we'll be also opening a call of funding round for the seed fund or leaf fund from the BIRAC. If anyone would like to apply there and get some funding for scale up and commercialization, we'll be very happy to provide that support.
Sure, ma'am. We are always open to help SINE IIT Bombay. Sure, ma'am. Thank you.
Dr. Shunali and Muthu, Lakshmi, if you all would like to share a few words, please unmute yourself and you can share some of your insights with our attendees today.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Pratati. And I think today's sessions is really great because many questions and many relevant questions. That is the main thing. So I hope the participants will apply for this BIG grant, and of course they can get the supports from SINE IIT Mumbai as well as the other incubation centers. And thank you very much for partnering with us for this program. And my all the best for all the participants for their grant writing. And of course, if anyone need any help, so we are always open for this. Thank you.
Muthu Lakshmi, would you like to share something? Again, to the participants who are still here with us, please, if you have any more questions, raise your hands, post them in the Q&A box, and we'll take a couple of quick questions at the end.
I think one quick message from my side is, even though we have addressed your question here, please do write to us because, there are always something for which you would like to have some clarification. We can arrange one-on-one session to, clarify your doubts, help you fine tune your application. We can put you in touch with the mentors, experts wherever needed. We also have an informal, Q&A session where you can just come and ask your question. So we'll be having that session also soon because some of your questions may or may not get answered here. So please do write to us on the email address sine_big@sineitp.org, and we'll be very happy to answer your queries and talk to you virtually in virtual meeting as well.
There's a question from Dr. Prachi Mehrotra. I'll just answer that. You can find the list of all big partners on the BIRAC Big website. Now, if you want to know of all the big grantees that have been supported thus far, from the 15th cycle to the 18th cycle, it is available again on that same website, the list of applicants. You can also individually visit the websites of each of the big partners, and they will have the portfolio of their big grantees listed as well to give you an idea of what kind of projects have been funded in the past.
Dr. Mukherjee, just a point here. During for the participants, after you complete your application, etc., and we've sent it out to us. There's a screening process which happens, and then it goes to a team of experts which are part of the technical committee. The thing is, most of these experts would be going through at least 5 to 10 applications at one go. So be very careful in terms of the kind of information that you provide. To the point would be very helpful. And also, if you could, when you make certain claims, if you could back it up with some links for the reviewers to go back and check on that, that'll be nice. We have also come across applications where the attachments are missing, so which therefore means that automatically we can't do justification to the scoring, and that would bring your scores down. So while you're applying, just make sure that you give yourself a lot of time while filling up the details and not wait for the last day and the last hour to fill it up.
Thank you very much. I think on that note, we can bring this session to a close. I thank the SINE team for making this webinar run smoothly. Thank you, Pranita, for your time and your valuable insights. For all of our participating incubators today, we cannot thank you enough for agreeing on short notice to be part of such a session. We hope that our association will go beyond big, and we will, of course, come back again in the next cycle and try to get more innovators excited about this grant.
Pradati, can we have a quick picture here, since you know, we are we are here after such a long time. Incubator representatives, we are meeting here. Physical meetings, physically we are not able to travel at this moment, so let's take a quick picture here.
I request everybody to please turn your videos on, the panelists at least.
Thank you everyone. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you. Yes. And thank you to the participants as well. I hope you got some information and you'll get back to us with more questions. All the best for your application. Thank you.